Spoiler warning. The following discussion will contain spoilers. We recommend checking out the movie first, then coming back to hang with us. But if you don't care about that, glad to have you here.
Jason.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of The Real Review. My name is Kevin.
And I'm John.
And we are The Real Movie Guys. Welcome to Real Terror Month, a series where we discuss movies that will send chills down your spine. And happy Halloween, because today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at the potential new classic, Trick or Treat. 5 interwoven stories that occur on Halloween night. An everyday high school principal has a secret life as a serial killer. A college virgin might have just met the guy for her. A group of teenagers pull a mean prank. A man who loathes the night has to contend with her holiday-obsessed husband. And a mean old man meets his match with a demonic supernatural trick-or-treater. John, this movie's pretty awesome. I feel like personally, it's become like a new Halloween tradition for me to watch this every Halloween. Ever since it came out on Blu-ray, I was able to, I thoroughly enjoy this movie. I think it's different and interesting in its own right. Now, were you exposed to this? How were you exposed to this movie?
Well, the weird thing is, honestly, I got exposed when it was at like one of the Halloween Horror Nights events.
Right.
Like I saw that they were doing like a little walkthrough of like Trick or Treat the movie. It seemed really cool, so I was like, let me watch this movie and see how it is.
Mm-hmm.
And after watching it, all of a sudden I got hooked. So like now every year, I feel like I have to watch this movie because it's just like one of those movies that around this time, like you just want to watch this movie.
Right. And why does this movie work so well? My opinion for that fact is it's because it's a horror anthology, right? It tells tales that connect Halloween mythology over the course of one night. So all those cliches we've heard, right? It touches on, your candy being poisoned.
Wait. That's right. There's another tradition. Very important. Always check your candy.
Or having a knife in it or a sharp object. Not trusting strangers, vampires. Werewolves, zombies, all these like weird Halloween tradition things that we've come to know over the years. This movie touches upon in a fun, clever, and dark way, and I think that's really...
You want a drink or something? Be our little secret.
Sure. No, thanks. But,
All right, fine. I'll see what I got.
actually, Mrs. Henderson, we were sort of wondering if you might have...
unique. We don't really get as much. It's funny to think about, like, all the movies that really are about Halloween. This is like probably one of the strongest ones, in my opinion, that really celebrates the holiday.
Yeah, definitely. It's one of those movies too that after watching it just one time, I feel like you get hooked to this movie. Like it's definitely one of those movies that like you want to watch a whole bunch of times because it's so every time you watch it too, you catch a little bit something different, like a little Easter egg or something in it,
right?
Where like you didn't know after watching it like one time.
They're telling an anthology series, right? All these stories are interwoven. So they have to make sure all the pieces are in place, and somehow someone runs into somebody from another story, or they have to be linked in some kind of strange way. And this movie does an amazing job at that. I mean, I just, like I said, I really loved all the stories that they were telling. I was, pretty at first I didn't know they were going to be connected. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. But as soon as like the pieces started coming together and I started to see how things fit in, the movie was just that much better. Now, was there one story in particular that you liked maybe more than the others? Which one was your favorite if you had to pick one?
I kind of thought like it was interesting how they would show like with like the principal who's killing people and stuff and the children. I thought it was interesting how they were able to like kind of show his story.
Screw you.
But then show you from the opposite view of like the old guy who really hated Halloween.
Wilkins! Wilkins! Over here! Wilkins! Wilkins, help me, goddammit! Help me! Wilkins!
And was like totally against it. And how he then all of a sudden found all those pumpkins in his yard and stuff.
Get the hell off my...
And like how he saw when he was looking through the fence, like the guy was obviously in a grave, digging like and gonna kill off that other body because it started making noises.
Who the hell is that? I got an NRA membership in my pocket. And a shotgun over the fireplace. So get out of here before I...
Mr. Krieg, Stephen Wilkins.
Hey, what in God's name are you doing down there, Wilkins? Huh? Hiding bodies?
I thought it was interesting how they like wove those two stories like together. And I thought that was like a cool way to look at it too.
No, I mean, it's really interesting. I mean, they have the great Dylan Baker plays Steven, who's the principal.
Principal Wilkins, do you think that we might be able to have your jack-o'-lantern, please?
Not gonna smash it, are you?
No, it's a scavenger hunt. For UNICEF?
Anything for a good cause. Happy Halloween.
And this movie really likes to subvert your expectations, right? I feel like that's one of the main themes of Halloween, in a way, is they subvert what's going to happen, if that makes any sense. Like, in the beginning, he's carving a pumpkin, and the fat kid walks up to him, and he says, "Oh, here, try some of the candy." The kid eats, and he starts puking up, like, a fountain of, like, a vomit.
Trick or...
Right? It
Chocolate
makes
and
no
blood
sense.
or
Just
something.
chocolate and blood vomit just like flowing out of his mouth. It's so gross. I saw the effect when they did it. They actually used like a hose to make it come out of his mouth like that. Oh, just gross, fantastic stuff. But you think that's the end of it, right? He's just going to kill this kid and be the end of it. But you find out later he's literally giving the kid to his son to carve out the eyes like a jack-o'-lantern.
But don't forget to help me with the eyes.
Because his son's just as twisted as him.
Yeah.
Again, just really like subverting of expectations. And what I really like is the way another reason this movie works so well is we have a great cast, right? We have, like I said, the Dylan Baker, we have Anna Paquin, very famous actress.
It's my first time, so just bear with me.
Playing the vulnerable Laurie, who ends up being a murderous werewolf at the end of this film. Like I said, and just all the children even all around. I thought they were all really well cast.
I don't even know what that was. Coach Taylor was in a hot dog costume, but fucking a pig, I think. And then
That's just not.
And then we have the star of the show. I would say Halloween's newest mascot. You know, especially more recently, I've seen him popping up everywhere. We have Sam.
You know, you should be more careful. There are rules. You might upset someone.
Oh, please. Who?
Who's actually played by Quinn Lord. Who's actually, again, played this little masked man with like a bag over his head. Like, is that like an homage to some like past guy we were thinking about? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe. But
is it
like
little
I said,
Jason?
yeah, maybe. Maybe very similar. But yeah, he's got a little bag over his head with that creepy little smile and his big ass lollipop. That's a creepy kid. You know, they picked it just perfectly to be like the mascot of Halloween, of the holiday. It's even more interesting that Quinn Lord, who plays Sam, he actually is in the movie as another character. He's actually the boy when the girls are getting ready and changing.
I am not wearing this. Too small. My tits keep popping out. That's the idea. I don't know why.
In the changing room. He's the peeping boy
through.
with the lollipop. Oh, that
Okay.
was kind of interesting. So he had like an actual cameo. I like when movies do that. Friday the 13th used to do that all the time. They'd have like the masked character playing Jason have a cameo in the film as well. Like I said, just Sam is very cool. I like his design. I like everything. I like the way he looks. When he gets the mask off his head, he's even kind of creepy. He's got that pumpkin looking head with the weird face, and like he's got like candy, like the candy guts. When he hits his like head open instead of bleeding, he's got like pumpkin guts spewing out of him. Again, super silly. There was one weakness with that. Was like there's a CGI scene with him where he like when he takes the mask off, Mr. Krieg actually pulls the mask off his head, and you see it's like I was like, "Rah," and it's like this weird CGI growl face thing they did. That was all negative CGI wise. But another reason I think this movie works is we don't really, of all the movies, we really associate Halloween with like horror movies, horror, slasher, scary movies. This movie's not really scary, I would say. It's far from that, actually. It's not in the least terrifying, in my opinion. What this movie does more than anything else is it's just beautiful. This movie is wonderful to look at, especially from a cinematic standpoint, the where they like phase scenes together. There's like one of my favorite scenes. There's a transition from you see Sam sitting on a log when the werewolves are like devouring their victims, and you see it transitions right into the full moon with his head. This movie just captures the atmosphere. Like I feel like I'm in like a highly celebrated Halloween area. Everything just oozes Halloween, from the decorations to the lighting. Everything just feels real and fantastic to me. It feels like almost magical.
Werewolves, zombies, and demons of every variety. They've all descended on the normally sleepy town of Warren Valley, Ohio, where the holiday and all of its strange traditions are taken very seriously. It's only 8 o'clock and the streets are already packed with costume visitors, some to show off, others to blend in, but all to celebrate the magical night of Halloween. The one night a year when we can pretend to be the scariest thing we can think of.
Kind of like when you watch a Christmas movie, right, and you feel like you see like that Christmas setup and you're in that holiday feeling. When I watch this movie, I really get into that Halloween spirit. It really does it for me.
Oh yeah, definitely. I feel like it brings everything that you really want in a Halloween movie, and with a little bit of like other things thrown into it, it's just so good.
Right, but so my one thing I brought up, so I said this movie's not scary. So what does it do? Well, it makes up for not being scary with just a damn clever script. I really think this is just a really clever movie. You know, everything from the stories that it's telling, with the kids in the bus that die in the bus, and how
The driver was never heard from again.
that's actually connected to Mr. Krieg, who was the bus driver.
Trick or treat.
Again, it connects all these little pieces together that you wouldn't, maybe you thought, maybe you could have figured it out. I mean, it's probably not that hard in hindsight. It's hard to remember, when I first watched the movie. Now it's one of those things where I've watched it so many times where I can't remember what my original feeling was for it. But
Yeah.
again, just how it connects the pieces, it's just very endearing, and you want to see the story move on. I like anthology films. I feel like we don't get as many of those. Most movies are content with, or their mission is to tell, for the love of God, at least they try, tell one story as best they can. This movie has a hard job. It's got to tell these 5 little short stories, make them all connect, and make them interesting. And honestly, I liked all 5. I really did.
Yeah.
I thought they were all interesting. I mean, the only one that's kind of lackluster maybe is the first one is a little weak, where Sam kills the wife who wants to tear down all the Halloween decorations.
Wait, not yet.
What?
You're supposed to keep it lit.
Why?
Ancient tradition?
Henry, it's Halloween, not Hanukkah. Baby, I'm lit, and you're lit.
Honey,
Our little friend here, this night's over.
And she blows out the candle to the jack-o'-lantern, which is a big no-no on Halloween.
Oh,
You have to wait
yeah.
till after Halloween to do that. Like I said, that one's the weakest, I would say. I guess you could say it's not really super strong, but at the same time, incredibly enjoyable film. The effects are kind of cheap. Overall, this movie feels quote unquote cheap. It's not really anything spectacular. They have one really cool animatronic looking werewolf. I guess it's a puppet. I don't know if it's animatronic. It's either a puppet or animatronic. It looks really cool. Don't get me wrong. Does it look fake? Absolutely. But at least it's trying to go the practical route. Like I said, the couple bouts of CG that are in this film are kind of for me. That would be one of my negatives. Just maybe you could have just done something a little more practical, would have been better. Negative I could see is some people might not enjoy this due to the lack of scares. It's as clever as it wants to be. Could it have infused a little more fear into it? I think so. I think there could have been a little more scares thrown in, at least a couple more jump scares, something along those lines. But overall, though, I could see the omission of that just because I don't think that was the mission of this movie. I think the mission was just to tell an endearing Halloween story, based in horror and, folklore.
All these traditions. Jack-o'-lanterns, putting on costumes, handing out treats. They were started to protect us, but nowadays, no one really cares.
Another interesting tidbit about this movie is that Michael Dougherty, the director, he was also the director and writer of this movie. This was actually a short film for him, believe it or not. He actually wrote this initially as Season Greetings in, I think it was 1996, around there. This was one of his short films that he made, where I think Sam was actually animated. I think it was a little animated short, and it took him, so many years later, we came down to 2007, then we got Trick or Treat. So it also has comic roots prior to that. So again, very interesting. I like how, and the movie pays tribute to the comic book roots too, right? The whole opening sequence shows the comic book with Sam and everything like that. Very cool. Very cool.
Definitely.
If you don't know Michael Dougherty, he is a good director. He's someone you should definitely check out. He actually did Krampus, which I hope we do cover in this December, which I do find that as an enjoying horror movie. He has some other things as a writer that aren't too great. Some of the X-Men films. Yeah. But he did do Godzilla, King of the Monsters, which was pretty enjoyable. He also did Superman Returns, which I know some people don't love that movie. Yeah, mixed feelings. I think he did a good job. Overall, I think he's a good writer, and he's got some chops as a director. More of a writer than anything else. But like I said, Trick or Treat, it's a classic. It's a gem. This movie is really a gem. If you know somebody that hasn't seen it, you really got to have them watch this. Especially on Halloween. Any other night of the year, it might lose a little bit of its luster, a little bit of its magic. But you watch this, when Halloween rolls around, like this video's coming out. This is the perfect time to check it out.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So I think we're at that point, though, we're going to give our final scores. I'm going to give Trick or Treat an A. Fantastic movie. Overall, it's really hard to find anything negative. I really had to nitpick with the CG and lack of scares because that doesn't bother me. You're telling me a great anthology story that I find interesting. I love Sam as like this new horror icon / Halloween mascot. I think it's great, and I heard recently they did greenlit a sequel that's supposedly coming out. Who knows with 2020 shenanigans, when or whatever that's going to happen. But, I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see what else they have in store for us. John, where do you stand with this film?
I stand with this film as an A. I feel like this movie has so much good stuff to it, and just definitely like we were saying too, it's one of those Halloween classic movies where it definitely is better to watch on Halloween.
Right.
But definitely an amazing movie to watch this month. Like, it's just one of those best movies.
Yeah, I'm really happy to have this on my shelf. I actually own like 2 or 3 different copies of this movie. Not going to lie to you. All different versions, just because I do love supporting it. I think it's a great movie. I'm glad to see Sam coming into the public limelight. If you go to your local, Halloween stores, I've definitely seen a lot of Trick or Treat merchandise. He's really blowing up to astronomical levels at this point. Very cool to see. Glad to have a new horror icon join the ranks, if you will. John, where can the people find us at home?
You can find us on YouTube, The Real Movie Guys on YouTube. We subscribe to our channel, like our reviews if you want to. We come out with different reviews all the time. We would like to know what you guys may want to see us do in the future too, and what you thought about this movie. You can also follow us on Twitter at The Real Movie Guy. You can tell us there. Maybe rank some of your favorite Halloween movies or movies that you like, horror movies that you like, and
let me know. Throw down what you guys are watching on Halloween. We've covered a couple different movies. Mostly was Friday the 13th was dedicated for this month, but we did cover some other films. What are you guys watching on Halloween? Let us know. Maybe it's something new we can check out. Maybe it's one of the other slasher franchises. Just throw us your picks. We want to know what you guys think.
Yeah, you can also find us on many podcasting platforms, such as...
Yes, for your listening pleasure, we are also available in podcast form at iTunes, Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcast, Overcast, Breaker, Radio Public, and Pocket Casts. Be sure to give us a listen at any of those fine places. If you already are right now, hey, we greatly appreciate it. Just search Real Movie Guys. We'll pop right up. Thank you all so much again for joining us for this episode of The Real Review. My name's Kevin. That guy over there, he's John. We are The Real Movie Guys. Real guys, real movies, real thoughts. Thank you again for joining us. Real Terror Month's been awesome. It was great to have you guys. We covered Friday the 13th franchise. It was a big hurdle for us to jump over. I think we did a pretty decent job. Let us know what you think. Happy Halloween. We'll scare you next time.